So initially I was going to skip over this list from Screen Rant, talking about ranking every member of the Akatsuki from weakest to strongest. Typically I don't care for Screen Rants' list like that, but I thought this one was kind of ridiculous to the point to where I felt like I had to talk about it at least a little bit, get y'all's opinion on it. Link to this particular page will be in the description below if you guys want to check it out for yourselves, but I'm going to be going over what they had listed in this Akatsuki weakest to strongest list. As for these, I'm going to skip over some of these because I actually don't know who they really are. Like, we know they're part of these guys right here, whoever Ki is, Daibutsu and Kyutsu, whatever, and yeah, those guys, I'm assuming they were a part of the original Akatsuki. I doubt we really know of their full potential, so no point in them. This dude we saw in that the filler section of this show, I'm pretty sure. I can't give too much opinions on that, to be honest with you, but sure, well, why not? White Zetsu, if we're gonna consider him, yeah, he would be considered the weakest, I'd assume. I don't think he really does anything particular feats wise in the world of Naruto. I mean, he all those clones, mind you, but like those of themselves were pretty fodder in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I'm not mad at him with being dead last. Yahiko being number one, I mean, sure. Like, that being said, we don't know too much of Yahiko's full potential, to be fair. Like, we seen him train with Jiraiya, but that's pretty much it. Like, as an Akatsuki leader, you know, we don't know of his full potential and strength, you know what I mean? And even actually, what does he even say? The original founder of the Akatsuki, Yahiko, is presumably an exceptional, talented, and powerful ninja. You see, he said presumably, so you're making an assumption here. For all we know, he could be the weakest, but you know, I'm not mad at this being at him being here. It's whatever. I'm not mad at it. Hidan, at least for the main Akatsuki members, yes, this makes total sense. Like, physicality wise, he's very durable, I'll give him that, but physicality wise, he's not going to put much of a fight. His only main thing would be his like jutsu and pertaining to his Jashin ritual. So assuming you can speed blitz him, you can relatively deal with him quickly. He's technically immortal, but you know, cut off his head, he'll be rendered useless. Like, had Kakuzu not been there to reattach Hidan's head after Asuma sliced it off, it would have been wrapped for him. So he is the weakest main member of the Akatsuki. Like, one of the ones that wears the robes, like, he's definitely the weakest one. That's for sure. Even Shikamaru was able to beat him, and you know, Shikamaru is a talented dude, but not really in the physical aspect. Like, he's more so a mental, you know, higher ranking ninja, as opposed to like, oh, I can beat you like, you know, 1-2 step, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm not mad at Hidan being here. Sasori at 13, interesting. I gotta verify who else is next, but I would assume he would have been a little bit higher, in all honesty. I'm gonna verify who's next, but I feel like he would be in the middle of the pack. Like, he's not weak. Like, again, with his puppets, like, you know, he can do a bunch of things. He said in the show, like, he was able to take over a nation essentially with his puppets. He was able to kill, I believe, the second or third Kazekage. So it's, you know, he's a fairly powerful dude. So I would assume he's a bit higher. I'm gonna verify who's next and then go from there. But we'll just see. Deidara being over him, sure. Here's the thing with Deidara, right? Like, even in the Screen Rant, it's saying he's one of the more flashier members of the Akatsuki, and I guess that stands true. You know, with him saying that art is an explosion, like, that's really all he's about, is like his explosion tactics. But it is still fairly, you know, comparable, and he deserves to be in the Akatsuki. So him being this low sort of makes sense, I guess you could say. But again, I gotta verify who's next to see if this matches up. But if there's any indication with his fight against Sasuke, not to say that it was more so one-sided, but like, he was literally paired against one of the worst opponents. Like, again, his weakness is lightning style, and that was literally Sasuke's main motif aside from fire style. So I don't know, I don't think we have had a good enough showing with Deidara to put him higher, I guess you could say. Not enough showing, because his other fight was against Kakashi and Naruto, and that wasn't really a fight. It was more so Naruto and Kakashi just running away from him, or running towards him, like, and Deidara just running away, you know, baiting Naruto. But that being said, his fight with Gaara was substantial, though remembering that fight, I'm pretty sure that was like plot induced like Garo. I feel like Garo should have won had he not been so worried about protecting the village. So, you know, take that what you will, but him being lower on the list, I guess makes sense, but this low, again, I gotta see. Kisame, nah, this dude should be higher. This dude should be a bit higher. Again, he's compared to a tailed beast in terms of chakra reserves. Like he fought against he fought against B. Like it was a pretty comparable fight, and B is no joke. So that alone should put him higher, I guess you could say. But regardless, I feel like it should be higher. Like again, his fight against B alone should net him the higher ranking spots. Okay, especially with him being above, there's no way. Kakuzu should be lower. He lost against a Naruto pre-Sage mode. Like, he's only as strong as he is, or should be ranked, I guess, quote unquote, higher, only because he has 5 hearts in his body, so like he could technically survive 5 more dangerous attacks, I guess you could say. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have been over within. Actually, yeah, no, against Kakashi, had he only had that 1 heart, it would have been right for Kakuzu during that fight with Kakashi in Team 10. Like, that fight wouldn't have been as substantial had he not had all those hearts. And granted, he apparently fought the first Hokage. We didn't really see how that fight went about, and I don't think Kakuzu beat or killed Hashirama. So I don't know where that feat is sort of coming from, but yeah, no, I don't think like well, him being here I think is fine, but more so, or like the number, that's whatever, but I'm saying over Kisame is kind of ridiculous. I don't condone that. I don't condone this either. Konan, she should low-key be actually, let me think about this for a second. Okay, in all honesty, I can't think of too much impressive feats with Konan aside from her prep time with almost killing Obito. But again, that was prep time. Like, she planted all those bombs specifically in the case that she needed to betray Obito, if for any case. Aside from that, her fight against Jiraiya, if there's any indication, I don't think it was too substantial for me to say she should be above Kakuzu, in all honesty. Though I guess you could sort of interchange between them, but I would still put Kisame above Konan. I'm curious what you guys had to think, and let me know in the comment section below. Would you guys like to see a proper video of me ranking the Akatsuki? I'm thinking about doing that myself. This is just the Screen Rants version, but I want to see how I go about doing it myself, do the research. But yeah, let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But yeah, like I said, I think Konan, I don't know if she should be lower per se, but like again, Kisame should be higher or above her. Shin, we're counting him. Okay, even technically not a member of the Akatsuki, so what's the point of it? Okay, a powerhouse because he's powerful, so he should be in the Akatsuki. All right, then just put Naruto in here if that's the case. But he's a absolute powerhouse of an opponent. Like, then just put Naruto in that case. Just if you're gonna put strong opponents. So no, I don't think. All right, so even if you want to include him, this dude's Mangekyo ability was just summoning Shuriken. What more is there to say? No. Excommunicated. If I had to rank him fairly, I'm not even joking with you. If I'm considering, maybe above Hidan, maybe, and even then, I don't know. I wouldn't. Nah, I wouldn't put him in this list regardless. But that being said, I don't know. I don't condone him being this high. Black Zetsu over Konan, over Kakuzu, over Kisame. That doesn't make. I would put him right alongside what's it called? White Zetsu, in all honesty. Like, the only thing, first of all, Black Zetsu he's not a fighting type. He was able to capture Obito's body and take control of him just to manipulate his moveset so he can revive back Madara. But that was pretty much it. Like, Kakuzu or Black Zetsu has no real feats. Black Zetsu has no real feats for himself. Loki, you shouldn't even include him in this list. But again, it's an Akatsuki thing, so it sort of makes sense. But I wouldn't put him this high on the list based off that alone. Well, is lesser version of Kaguya's techniques. Is Black Zetsu transferring people in other dimensions? I don't think so. He's not doing anything similar of that nature. Yeah, no, I don't. If he's included in this list, he should be in the very, very bottom. Like, all he's good at doing is planning out prep time, all those years of basically writing the history of Naruto and just screwing the overall arcing story by reviving Kaguya. That's all he is. If we're basing it off that, in terms of feats of ruining expectations and story wise, he should be number 1. But obviously this isn't the case for this list, so I would deem him lower. Why is Kabuto here? Kabuto is an official member of the Akatsuki, but he does work as a spy for them and fights to their benefit during the Fourth Shinobi War. Okay, if you're talking about War Arc Kabuto, low-key, this makes sense. I'm not gonna lie. If we're talking about Sage Mode Kabuto, he would be up there. Like, he was no joke. Against Itachi and Sasuke, it was a pretty fair fight. Like, I feel like Itachi and Sasuke, like, if they were actually trying, you know, that I feel like that fight would have been ended faster, but because they had to keep Kabuto alive, that was the main crutch for Kabuto, or for, you know, the Uchiha brothers. But in all honesty, I mean, with Sage Mode, he was able to utilize the Sound 4 or 5's abilities, which was pretty unique. Durability was at an all-time high for him. He didn't need his eyes to see in the dark, stuff like that. Like, it's fair to put Kabuto this high on the list. I wouldn't put him on this list, mind you, but I guess it technically makes sense for him to. So I'm not gonna rule him out being this high on the list. Now, would I put him above majority of the people here? Honestly, yeah. Maybe arguable Kisame. Nah, I mean, I'd probably take that back. But yeah, no, that makes. I think above everyone else here so far, that makes sense. I'll give him that. Itachi being at 5, I gotta verify who's next. But yeah, he's for sure in the top tier, but I would think a bit higher, but I gotta verify who's next. Itachi, obviously, he's goated. You know, Prime Itachi. We don't know. It's one of those big what ifs. What if Itachi wasn't sick, you know, before he died? But even then, he was still a remarkable fighter. It was just mainly his stamina. With his movesets like that really geared him off the wrong way. But he is a comparable fighter. Obviously, his Makikyo abilities with Amaterasu and Tsukiyomi, his Susanoo, obviously his Tosca blade and the Yatamir, all of that is what makes him a force to be reckoned with, and why I think it is fair that he is this high on the list. But again, I gotta see who is above him. They literally had an encounter during their time in the Akatsuki where Itachi just put him under a genjutsu and it was wraps. So much so that Orochimaru stopped his plan from getting Itachi's body and transferring over to the little Uchiha boy's body. Sasuke even mentioned so himself. You can have like the bigger Uchiha, so you decided to get the youngling. This does not make sense. What is there any justification through Screen Rant here? Supposed self-interest, Naruto character, one of the strongest, legendary signing, okay. Give me something useful. Only someone with an inhumane level of power is able to come close to matching Orochimaru, literally the dude before. Orochimaru, if I had to place him here, man, I would just rearrange this list in general, but maybe above Konan. Maybe above Konan. Or maybe right below Konan. Either way, nowhere near here. Let alone top 5. There's just no way. But let's just see. Pain, Nagato. This makes sense. At number 3, especially who I'm thinking who's next, this makes perfect sense. In fact, I think, yeah, no, Itachi should be 4, Nagato 3, and I think I know who the next 2 are. I think it's gonna make perfect sense from here on out. Nagato or Pain, whatever, he is super broken. Especially if it was just, say for example, if Nagato wasn't limping around and had his own body, he would have been a force to be reckoned with. Like that Nagato against KC1 Naruto and B, like he was murking those two before Itachi came and helped those two out. Like with the Sage of the Six Paths, the Rinnegan, it's very much so why, or part of the reason why he should be this highly regarded on the list, and why he's the leader of the Akatsuki, aside from the other 2 that we're gonna get to. He was able to destroy entire city. He was able to basically he basically destroyed the Leaf Village with Almighty Push. Chibaku Tensei, an amazing jutsu, to wrap up the Nine Tails. And that was really the only time like he was really having a bit of a struggle. And I don't think people realize, like, yes, Sage, like Naruto versus Pain. While Naruto won that fight, Naruto barely won after a bunch of hacks, you know, getting received so much information pertaining to Pain, you know, in general, just Pain semi holding back to keep Naruto alive. It would have been GG's had Pain been trying. And again, even with Sage Mode, at least initially, with all the info that Naruto was getting, he was still pinned down to the ground. It was only with the Nine Tails influence that he was able to push back Nagato. Now, this makes perfect sense why he's at 3. And 2, we have Obito and Tobi. Makes perfect sense. I'm not gonna fault this too much. Now, I've seen videos recently on YouTube where like it would go about with Obito versus Itachi, and some people are putting Itachi at a higher position. Initially I was like, no, that didn't fully make sense to me, but I can see why, because there were instances in the story where Obito is more so afraid of Itachi. Like for example, when after he died and he was going up to get Sasuke, and when the Amaterasu flamed on, after the Amaterasu ignited after Sasuke witnessed Obito's Sharingan. After that, Obito was like, oh, had Itachi known, you know, all my secrets, I would have been dead. Obito didn't attack the Leaf Village because of Itachi for reasons. So I guess I can understand why that makes sense to people, why Itachi would be above Obito. But for now, I'm just going to say that Obito would win, especially by the end of the war arc, if we're considering him getting the 10 Tails chakra, the Rinnegan abilities. I feel like all that is just going to plant him at a higher playing field in comparison to the majority of the Akatsuki members, aside from the next one, which I'm sure is going to be number 1. Let's not miss words. Let's get into it. Madara being the strongest Akatsuki member, even though, again, he's technically not a part of the Akatsuki. I don't think you could argue you can't even call him the starter, would you? Like, what does that have to say? He laid the groundwork for the Akatsuki, I guess you could say, behind the curtains. But it was Yahiko who formed it, you know, the originator, the original leader, but obviously with the influence of like Obito, technically speaking. So really, you can argue Obito laid the groundwork, but who laid the groundwork for Obito to do that sort of thing? Madara. So I guess you could say that. But yeah, there's no, that being said, Madara, regardless if you're going to consider him, there's no contest. His first outing against the 4th Division was spectacular. He murked everyone, pulled out Susanos with dual blades, showed that it had a Rinnegan, which showed that it was actually the evolution of the Mangekyo Sharingan. And then later on, he gets 10 Tails, Sage Mode, absorbing Hashirama's chakra, gets both sets of Rinnegan. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind this dude is number 1. Now, if you're gonna include Madara and Zetsu, you might as well have included Kaguya, but that completely would not make sense technically speaking, because I wouldn't think she cared to be labeled as the Akatsuki. But if this Screen Rant is gonna go about saying that he laid the groundwork for the Akatsuki, then you low-key have to say Kaguya as well. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, no, the list isn't that great, in all honesty. Like, the main thing that's blowing me right now is that Orochimaru is not only in this list, well, no, it makes sense why he's in this list, but more so above Itachi, Kabuto, at least Sage Mode Kabuto, and arguable Konan. Everyone else, I'm not that mad. Oh no, Kisame, no. Will Kisame mark Orochimaru? I would think so. That is a good question. I feel like Kisame would fare against Orochimaru. Because what is Orochimaru's peak, in all honesty? We never fully seen that. Like, he doesn't have Sage Mode, right? I think he tried to learn it, but even then, we haven't seen that in totality. So yeah, no, I don't think Orochimaru would be Kisame. That's the main outlier in this list, in all honesty. Everything else you could argue, I guess you could say, but yeah, no, Orochimaru being there is kind of dumb. But again, I would still change this list to a certain extent. Again, I'd be willing to make my own video on ranking the Akatsuki, but mainly with the core members. But what do you guys think of this list? Do you guys think this list portrays the right ranking in your eyes pertaining to from weakest to strongest for the Akatsuki members? What would you change if you disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, click the card you see here, which will take you to my ranking on every Naruto arc from worst to best. I'm the Curly Haired Hokage, and I hope you all have an amazing and blessed day. Peace.